For the amount of sports we watch, there's no way we're going to remember everything. In spite of that, there are some moments that will stand out above the countless hours we poured into our TVs until the end of time. Here are 10 unforgettable sports moments caught on TV. Don't forget to hit subscribe and join our notification squad. The real way to use a helmet. In general, the New York Giants' victory over the New England Patriots at Super Bowl 42 will remain in American football history as one of the biggest shockers ever. If we had to pick out one moment from this game, however, we have to go with the insanity that was Giants wide receiver David Tyree's catch. As great as his catch was, we have to start by giving credit to his quarterback, Eli Manning. Before launching the pass, Manning managed to dodge and break free of 3 Patriots defenders. His pass seemed like it was going to sail above his receivers, but then, like he had jetpack on, David Tyree leapt up and caught the pass with his helmet? Yep, by pressing the ball into his helmet with his hands, Tyree somehow made the most memorable play in Super Bowl history against all odds. This is what we love about sports. An otherwise unremarkable player turning in the play of a lifetime against the most talented team in football history. Aside from salty Patriots fans, everyone has to admire this moment. TODD BERTUZZI. What was supposed to be a simple run-of-the-mill revenge shot ended up being one of the darkest moments in NHL history. In a previous game between the Colorado Avalanche and the Vancouver Canucks, center Steve Moore had elbowed Canucks captain Marcus Naslund, giving him a concussion. Naturally, as was the tradition in hockey, coach Mark Crawford told his players that Moore had to pay the piper for his misdeed. Nobody could have imagined how bad it would have gotten, though. In absolutely brutal and cowardly fashion, TODD BERTUZZI grabbed Moore's jersey from behind and launched himself forward with a right hook to Moore's head. Worse yet, Moore landed badly on his head, resulting in 3 broken vertebrae and a massive concussion. A long drawn-out legal battle came of this, and not one which just affected those 2 players. This incident fundamentally changed the culture of hockey. While the violence and revenge culture of the game hasn't completely disappeared, it is certainly in a much better place than it was before the Bertuzzi hit, and nobody will ever forget why that change occurred. For those of you who love ad-free viewing and free things, we're excited to announce the Premium Network. The Premium gets you early access to videos from TheSportster, CBR, The Gamer, and many other great channels. Literally thousands of videos in one place with ad-free browsing. How sweet is that? Sign up for free at The Premium by clicking the link to start binge-watching videos from your favorite channels. Bite Night. Alright, so just by the title of this entry, you probably have 2 guesses as to who we're talking about, Mike Tyson or Luis Suarez. Well, if we go by total number of bites, we got 2 bites for Tyson versus 3 for Suarez. Point goes to Suarez. Yup, this Uruguayan striker might be renowned by hardcore football fans for his ability on the pitch, but to the mass public he will be known for his vampiric urges. The first time came in November 2010 when he bit PSV's Otman Bakal on the shoulder. The second time came in 2013 when he bit a Chelsea player on the shoulder, but we have to give the nod to his World Cup 2014 bite on Italian defender Giorgio Chiellini. On the biggest sporting stage in the world, Suarez saw it fit to sink his teeth into another player. If that wasn't bad enough, his excuse was even more sad. Instead of owning up to his actions, Suarez says that he lost his balance and fell onto Chiellini's shoulder with his teeth. We would have bought voodoo possession as an excuse more quickly than this tripe. Brawl for all. No, we're not talking about WWE's stupid unscripted disaster from the late 90s. This is another unscripted disaster, but from the world of basketball. It's relatively common for fans to voice their displeasure by throwing objects on the playing field. Normally that's in hockey or football where fans are a good distance away from the players. Rarely though do fans and players actually come to blows with each other. Not on November 19, 2004, however, when the Detroit Pistons and Indiana Pacers had a fight which North American sports fans would expect from soccer hooligans. It all started when Pacers player Ron Artest fouls Pistons player Ben Wallace. From there, a cacophony of chaos ensues, which ultimately leads to Artest going into the stands to attack a fan who threw a beer at him. Some of his fellow players would follow him, and the situation escalated so badly that the players had to be escorted out off the court as food and drink were thrown at them. Thankfully, nobody was really hurt like the Bertuzzi incident. This melee caused the NBA to increase the amount of security between fans and players. Steve Bartman. To think that before this incident, Do the Bartman had to do with doing a Bart Simpson song written by Michael Jackson. Nowadays though, Do the Bartman wouldn't get you any high fives but likely fists in your jaw. Allow us to set up the incident. During Game 6 of the National League Championship Series, the Chicago Cubs took on the Florida Marlins while holding on to a 3-2 series lead. Up 3-0 in the 8th inning, Chicago Cubs left fielder Moises Alou ran to the stands in order to catch the ball. If he caught it, it would have been the second out of the inning and turned up the heat on the Marlins. Instead, a legion of fans reached out to grab the ball, and the unlucky fan who got all the blame ended up being Steve Bartman. Alou was livid, and Bartman later became a victim of harassment and death threats. What we have to wonder is how the heck did Bartman get all the flack for this? Was Bartman on the field and allowing the Marlins to score 8 runs that game? Did he do anything in Game 7 which the Cubs also lost? While the incident is unforgettable, the stupidity of some Cubs fans is eternally unbearable. Quick question for you. What is the first televised sporting event in US history? Stay tuned for the answer. Band gets run over. You know the old expression, it isn't over until the fat lady sings? Well, what happens when not only does the fat lady sings, but her whole damn band starts to play? Nothing apparently. In fact, the band ends up getting trampled because the game isn't over yet. Back in 1982 at the California Memorial Stadium, it seemed that the Stanford Cardinals had their victory over the Golden Bears wrapped up. All they had to do was stop the Golden Bears kickoff return and they would be golden. What they didn't count on was the Bears pulling off one of the greatest plays in college football history via their use of 5 lateral passes and a hell of a run from Kevin Moen. Amazingly though, none of the band were harmed by the players, save for one unlucky trombone player named Gary Tyrell, who got nailed by the runner. If the moment wasn't marvelous enough, commentator Joe Starkey's call of the play made it even better. Man, an impressive moment like this deserves an epic nickname. What is it? The play? Wow, somebody needs to be fired for that one. The real Cold War. Americans, you guys like to think that your war with Russia was cold? What about a war between Canada versus Russia, eh? That's gotta be a sub-zero war. Okay, fine, our war was just fought with fists instead of nuclear arms, but nonetheless. The incident in question takes place in 1987 at the World Junior Hockey Championships final in Slovakia. The tournament might be covered extensively in Canada nowadays, but at the time there was only one reporter covering the game. Canada was wishing they had more journalists though, as the game ended in a bench-clearing brawl where players and coaches fought for about 20 minutes on and off the ice. Things got so bad that the lights had to be turned off in order to quell the violence. Both teams were disqualified from the tournament, and while Russia had nothing to lose in the game, Canada lost their chance to medal in the tournament. You don't see this happening often, but even the fans got tired of the fighting and started chanting, "We want hockey." Now that's when you know things have gone too far. Needless to say, the trip back home was awkward for the Canadian squad. One-shot birdie. Everyone goes nuts with fan theories on who should play X supervillain in the numerous superheroes that release like clockwork nowadays. Well, we'd like to toss our hat in the ring for these fantasy castings and suggest Randy Johnson as the Daredevil villain Bullseye. What do you mean Johnson has no acting ability? Who cares? Check what he did here. During a regular spring training game between the Arizona Diamondbacks and San Francisco Giants, Randy Johnson uncorked one of his signature blazing fastballs across the plate to Calvin Murray. The pitch had to make a pit stop before reaching the plate, however, as it struck and killed an innocent bird that was flying by. In a puff of feathers, the bird vanished and was found near the batter's box. What's even crazier than that incident is that PETA, that lovely organization everyone adores, was actually considering filing charges against Johnson for bird murder. You see, PETA, this is why you don't get invited to parties. Oh, the pitch was ruled as invalid, but we think it was definitely a strike. We expect a lawsuit from you, PETA, at any time. Using your head. On the biggest stage in sports, Zinedine Zidane threw away an entire career of great accomplishments and respect for one disastrous moment. In the closing minutes of extra time, Italian defender Marco Materazzi can be seen tugging on the jersey of the French legend. Some words are exchanged, and then Zidane jogs ahead of the Italian and delivers a gigantic headbutt to his chest. What on earth? In a game watched by millions upon millions of people, Zidane just got himself ejected in the most blatant way possible. What could Materazzi have said to provoke this peaceful Frenchman? Wait a minute, Zidane had a history of violent actions on the pitch? Alright, scratch that part. Nonetheless, the conversation which sparked the headbutt went like this. If you want the jersey, I can give it to you after the match. No thanks, I'd rather have your sister. Zidane then takes the bait and caves in the Italian's chest. In spite of all this, Zidane's greatest crime may not even be this. Zidane was actually one of the ambassadors for Qatar's World Cup bid. Now that's awful, no matter who you are. Tyson goes down. More than 25 years after it happened, Mike Tyson vs. Buster Douglas remains the measuring stick for all other sporting upsets. Anyone who saw it live can't forget it, but for our younger viewers, let's dive into the history lesson. On February 11, 1990, the world huddled around their television screens to see another one of Mike Tyson's spectacular leaping knockouts. The victim on this night was scheduled to be Buster Douglas, a talented but unheralded challenger ranked number 7 in the heavyweight rankings at the time. This was expected to be a layup for Tyson, but what people watching didn't know was that Tyson hadn't been taking this fight seriously. He barely trained because, in his own words, Douglas wasn't worth sweating for. This arrogant bravado would prove to be his undoing. Douglas lit up Tyson with his jab throughout the fight and shut down Tyson's offense. Though he would get knocked down in the 8th round, Douglas retaliated with fury in the 10th round, scoring a knockout which made Tyson search for his mouthpiece. He did find it, but it was too late, and Douglas pulled off the greatest upset in sports history. And then he never sniffed that success again. Oh well. You may have thought it would be a big game, but you'd be wrong. The very first televised sporting event in the United States is none other than a college baseball game between Princeton and Columbia. The date, May 17, 1939. That's it for our list. What are some other moments that will be on highlight reels forever? Fans from different sports all have their own highlights. So have at it in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe to TheSportster for more awesome content. Thanks for watching.